I know what you're thinking. Ninja Turtle bootlegs? I never thought I'd see the day he'd cover some more of those. Well, there is at least something different about these ones. These are the first Ninja Turtle bootlegs based on the movie figures. These guys are fresh from China and they're ever so exciting baggy style packaging. Spoiler, these guys are gonna have a high packaging score, trust me. So these guys came to me directly from China, and guess what? One of the main reasons for that is they're brand new. There's a few things kind of strange about this, and from what I can tell, these are actually the first bootlegs based on the movie star figures. You'd think they would have gotten bootlegged before this, especially when you realize that these guys are getting their first bootleg 22 years later. Didn't exactly jump on this while it was hot, did you, China? Although, it's not a complete mystery as to why this happened now, as I have a few guesses about it. The new movie is coming out, and given how those turtles look, they figured, well, if we release some at least half-decent looking bootlegs of the old movie star turtles, we'll have some better looking figures than the new movie turtle figures. The other likely contributing factor to these bootlegs getting released now is that the next wave of the classics line is to be based on the movie turtles. So China figured, hey, we'll beat them with a punch, get some people that don't want to wait for the classics line, and probably fool a few people that don't know any better. The classics line clearly had some influence on this set, as the weapons share the exact same color scheme. And speaking of, this is an area where the bootlegs clearly beat out the originals. One thing Playmates didn't really do much of, except with the 2003 line, was weapon detail painting. So yeah, that makes the weapons of the bootlegs, particularly the swords and sais, look a lot better. Even Splinter's weapon set looks a lot better, with the quivers of the arrows in his pack painted silver and the gray detailing on his cane. Though when the quivers are painted silver in the pack, it's a little weird that the arrow and the bow's quivers aren't. But even still, with the tip painted silver, it looks so much better. Even the color of plastic used for casting the weapons is a much better choice on the bootleg, with the darker brown than the orange for the official one. Though Michelangelo's sausage link based on the scene from the second movie might make a little more sense just cast him brown. And yes, these guys all came with one extra accessory from the original movie star figures, which is fairly impressive for bootlegs. And again, they've got paint detailing, unlike the originals. And just look at Donatello's extinguisher! 3 different colors! Woohoo! Fancy pants! Though to be fair to the original, the extinguisher is supposed to have a sticker decal on it, it's just that mine is missing it. And of course, the movie star foot soldiers' weapons look much nicer in the black and silver than the green of the original. And what's kind of strange with the movie star foot soldier bootleg is he comes with 2 swords and 1 nunchuck, whereas the original came with 2 nunchucks and 1 sword. Ugh, fellow chucker, eh? But none of the bootlegs come with shields, which of course you remember the turtles using all the time in the movies. Now the belts are all pretty spot on, everyone's got the correct belt, and they look like they're almost the exact same color. One thing that is noticeably different about them, though, when you touch them, is that the bootlegs are stiffer plastic. They're not a great deal stiffer, and they still work properly, except maybe in one case. And that's with Michelangelo's belt. Also, his belt is the only one noticeably lighter than the rest. And the reason I say it doesn't really work as well as the rest is it's really hard to get his nunchaku inside it. Yay! Kinda. It's actually kind of strange that the belts are any stiffer because the weapons are just as flexible as the original movie star ones. Now, speaking of how flexible the plastic is, this is one of the biggest differences between the real movie star figures and these bootlegs. The original movie star figures were made of very rubbery plastic, which let you flex them to hell, whatever that means, and also let you do stuff like this, but also made for some very cool feeling and looking figures. But the bootlegs are made of, well, the standard action figure stiffer plastic. Now, whereas the weapons had more paint detail, the turtles themselves have less. Now in some cases like Raphael, I think the paint detailing makes him look a lot better. However, I don't really like the spots that don't blend in as much like on Donatello. That kind of reminds me of the third movie. But at least the real Donatello's eyes don't look like that! Now, the eye paint job isn't terrible on most of these guys, but I do like how the official guys look a lot more. And the eye paint jobs in these sets seem kinda random, so you could end up with a whole group of doofy eye-looking ones, or just one like in my case. There's also some paint detailing which is inconsistent from turtle to turtle. On Raphael, they made the effort to paint each tooth individually, but with Leonardo, they just painted white across the whole mouth. So, obviously, Splinter looks quite different, and even though they gave him a belt, he has no robe. Gotta wear my belt to keep my fur up. Splinter, you idiot! What? This is always something I've found with like any Splinter figure, is they always look particularly naked without the robe or kimono. So let's steal Karate Turtles Warriors Splinter's kimono. What are you talking about? There we go, much better. I'm naked! Ah, yes, thank you for that. So while this is a movie star Splinter bootleg, I'd definitely say they took their inspiration for the color scheme from the new Nickelodeon Splinter. I think this is where the color scheme for the Foot Soldier came from as well. And honestly, I like this color scheme a little bit more than the actual official movie star Foot Soldier. He's even got a logo in the middle of his headband, which is non-existent on the movie star Foot Soldier, but the Nickelodeon Foot Soldier does have one there. Also, the shuriken in his belt is painted silver instead of red, and that makes a little more sense. Though, I don't know why his belt changes color once he ties it. Now, while there was an attempt to remove the Mirage Studios and Playmates Toys copyright on most of the figures, it was just done by globbing some plastic over it by the looks of it. And on some it was done so poorly that, yeah, you can still clearly see that there. But on the Foot Soldier, I don't know if that was an attempt to remove that at all, or if they were just kind of being sloppy. But the worst offender is Splinter, as, yeah, they didn't do jack shit there. They just left it on, clear as day. It's kind of interesting that his copyright reads 1999 as well. My Splinter figure still has 1992 on it. But the last wave of re-releases in the original line was done in 1999, I just didn't realize that the figures were actually stamped any differently. The movie star Splinter figure already had a ridiculous amount of variants to it. Most notably, there's the ones like the one I have with the fuzzy fur on him, or just the hard plastic ones. And there's a couple variants within those, and then there's the movie 3 version, and then there's Shogun Splinter, so if you want to include unofficial ones, you got another to add to the list. The figures are solidly made with good feeling plastic and a decent paint job. In most parts. Yeah, doofy eyes happen sometimes and the bandana placement can be a little off. But they all have the exact same articulation points as the originals, with the turtles having ball jointed arms and legs. Also, the weapons look even better than the originals. 10. As with most straight-up mold copies, there isn't much creativity here. And I'm not really sure how much of a creative choice it was to have color schemes closer to the Nick versions for Splinter and the Foot Soldier, as it was someone not knowing or caring exactly what they were ripping off. But oh well, it's worth a couple points too. Nothing that weird again, except the colory-do flip. Oh, and those eyes, too. A bag. I don't know which looks better. I told you this would be grand. 0. Considering the real movie star figures are long out of production and the turtles in that line can get a bit pricey, these aren't bad if you want a cheap alternative. And these can be found really damn cheap. The weapons are really nice too if you're missing some, and they'd be a great base for custom figures considering the price. 10. And the bootleg zones overall is 9. This is all because they are pretty nice figures with an awesomely detailed weapon set that you can get cheap. I'm also glad there are finally movie star bootlegs 22 years later. Awesome! Far out! Perpendicular! Stupid! Radical! Damn! Gnarly! Tubular! I've always liked 8 of you's too many, I'm moving out! Ow! Shit. Yeah, seriously, dudes, who's gonna make our pizza now? A message from Splinter. Shut it. I've made a huge mistake. That's what I was going to say. Get it? Hi guys, check out my Patreon for early mid-roll free episodes, meaning no ads will play in the middle, and other perks.